Next one is Raymond Pointer regarding his mother's property. That's the pictures. I give some of the pieces of the letters and then give them copies.
What it is about my mom's property, she's born on top of Johnson Hills, matter of fact, lived here all her life. Bought a house down in New Hamlin on West Park Avenue. I've got pictures there from 30 years ago, 20 years ago to last week. The state road has turned my mom's property and a couple other pieces of property there beside into a swamp. You can't do nothing with it now. And a year or so I've worked with them, they would at least return my calls. They won't even do that no more. I've talked to Dennis over at West Hamlin, Michael Spry in Huntington. And maybe if somebody would call or do something, I mean, the elected officials might be able to help the people in Lincoln County. Because the ones we hired over there don't. And everybody knows, if anybody here drove down Route 3 to get up here today, you know going right through New Hamlin, water sets in the road. You're 50 foot from Mud River, okay? Drains have been covered over, blacktopped over. I've got pictures there of the creek and stuff across from my mom's house. You can see behind the dumpsters along the fence there and stuff. Used to that property drained. There's pictures there that shows you that property drained. They say they can't put in no drain. What they need to do is come in there and put some dirt in them yards. There was a drain right there in front of the, used to be a car wash, Musician Paradise, some kind of pub or something there. Well, that drain's been completely blacktopped over. That's the reason there's 6 inches of water sits in that road when it rains. The drain's no longer there. The only drain down through there that I can find is over where Wally Stires' trucking place used to be. And it's got a big drain over there and the water goes through a hole about that big around in it. And the water used to drain out of there. I mean, they've got storm drains and everything in there, but they just let the ditches get filled. And the state, they come over last year and surveyed and said they couldn't make water drain from 500 feet away into Mud River and water drain a mile on an inch. I mean, that's just the way water does. And she's a cancer patient. That water, I had the health department there last year. They recommended I just go buy lime and throw it in. Well, that's works okay to kill a few mosquito larvae, but from here to that wall right there, right now, you can't go walk across my mother's yard. I mean, you sink up to your knees. And this, the state road has done it. The Bakers, I've got pictures there of their driveway and stuff next door. And I just like for y'all to maybe contact the state road or somebody that can help us do something.
How many houses involved, do you think?
Well, there's 4 houses right there in the swamp. I mean, but there's, you know, the Stones put in a trailer court over there a few years after my mom bought the house. All that was filled in with gravel. The water would leach out of there and just a little bit of dirt. What they do, you gotta imagine, if you've got a road here and a hill and you blacktop this road, it just builds a dam every time they do it. It started out this far in my mom's yard and this far. Now, like I say, it's 20 feet. Can't get in there to mow it. You can't do nothing with it. And, I mean, that's all I know to do. We've tried the state, we've tried everybody. Dennis is wasting your time. I mean, I'll just tell you the truth. The martyr man, he must
Do
be
you have
busy.
any written things back from him or anything, or?
Just the stuff there that they
Right
mailed
here.
back to Miss
Okay.
Baker, yeah.
Well,
But-
we can, you know, we can check into it. I think when I spoke with you, did we deal with this with Mr. Maynard at one time? Do you remember him? I mean, or something about, seeming like this was a similar area in there.
On down there, into this property, John Stone, we had some help with that.
Yeah, see, my mom's property's right across behind George Stone's.
Well, what I'll do then, I'll entertain a motion, if you don't have any more questions, then. I'll entertain a motion to go ahead and send a request to the Department of Highways that they respond to his complaints, to us
Right.
concerning your complaints, and see if there's something we can get done.
At the Charleston office.
Yeah, I think that's probably best. We'll just go ahead and send it to Charleston. see what
Yeah,
they
cause
do.
the one guy got his name, or at Michael Spry, he's down to Huntington. I didn't get much response from him.
Yeah,
either.
well, we'll go ahead and send it to Charleston and ask them if they can look into it.
Yeah, and I can just leave all these pictures here in case y'all need them or something, but someday I'd like to have them back.
Well, that'd be good. That way, if they can, we may just go ahead and let them look at it too, you know.
Right, yeah,
pictures
because
and things like
there's
that.
pictures from the exact same angle from last week to 20 years ago. I mean, you can see where the ditches used to be. I mean, I just didn't have much luck with them.
Okay. All right,
Appreciate y'all letting me talk.
Sure.
Thank you.
so is there a motion?
I'll move.
Is there a second?
Second.
And all yes? We'll go ahead and send that to the Charleston office, and they can respond to it.
We moved to unfinished business and possible action. Last meeting, we tabled, discussing about the county employees and community service workers doing the mowing. I spoke with Mr. Swanson upstairs, about using, well, I mean, Joey Birch is a county employee, so I think that's within
Is he the one that supervises?
Jerry or Joey.
Joey.
Joey's the community service.
He's over them out there, that's what I'm
Yes,
saying.
yeah.
And what did he think about it? He think there'd be a problem with it? Or
Well, he just didn't want people to be upset if the litter didn't get picked up.
we could understand that, we can understand. But I think it's, like I said before, you know, I think, we need to use these people where we need them.
Right.
You know, and if we need them there, then I think that would be to me, it seems like an easier situation than trying to move somebody out of the courthouse or, you know, move people around that may not have access, may not have abilities to get around, things of that nature, whereas these people already have a truck that takes them places and things like that, they already have a supervisor,
Right.
and, I mean, to me, it seems okay, Charles.
Now, what are we talking about? How much mowing and where? Do you have it defined?
The three that were, I think for sure, was the McCorkle Outreach Center, the shooting range, and, the Jaeger Monument.
My suggestion would be try McCorkle and the shooting range, and Jaeger Mall looks so good, it makes such a good impression, I'd hate to it not get taken care of properly.
Is that the Bryants that take care of it?
Yes.
Yeah, can we not just leave them there and then work on, let's do that.
Sure.
Is that sound okay to you, John? Let's go ahead and let them take care of that, and then
Okay.
the other two, though, we'll ask to see how it works out with the community service workers, okay?
Okay. Next is Rick McDowell and Ron Jefferson, on the left Fork Water property.
Friends, I want to give you a little update on phase 4, and then Ryan's going to talk about phase 5. It's a two-sided thing. These are some results from the direct discharge samples. That's where we're taking the sample, which is the final thing coming out of the septic system before it goes into the creek. Most of our systems are direct discharge. If you look at the side that says phase 2, that was we're in phase 4 now, so we're trying to keep up with all these different phases. Phase 2 was the one that was funded the first time we got funding through the DEP, through the stimulus money, through the ARRA money. The most recent one is the farthest column on the left-hand side, which was in April. What we're looking for is, our acceptable limit is 200 E. coli colonies or less. So you can see that all of those, the highest one we had at that point was 54. So we're real happy that those look as good as they do. If you look sort of through this historical kind of thing.
These are the older ones too, right?
These are old, yeah. This went in 2010. So if you flip over to the next page, it's a little more recent. They're not quite as glowing. Again, it's still the same. We're looking for 200 colonies or less. We have some high ones here. One of the things that we know impacts this is if somebody's on chemotherapy or they're doing high antibiotics, because that kills the good bacteria that's taking care of the bad bacteria in the septic tank. So in a couple instances on this, we think that that's the reason. I mean, we're not, we ask people if somebody in the home is using antibiotics, but we're not getting copies of their meds or anything like that. We just don't feel that's appropriate for the project to be doing that. There are a couple there that we've had reoccurring high levels. We're out there trying to do some experiments to figure out exactly why. Obviously, we haven't figured out yet One of the things we think might be occurring is that there may be some dips in the discharge line itself that allows the effluent to pool in there, and if it's staying in there, then E. coli can regenerate itself. So we're trying to figure out what that is. Often, if there's a high reading, we'll go out, there's one there in May 2012, we had a high reading of 500. We went out and did some work, and after that, all the readings were low. So sometimes just knowing that there's a high reading, we can go out and do something about it, solve the problem, and move on. I think that's one of the important extras that the project's been able to do, is to put some money into doing this thing. So we'll continue giving updates. I don't know if you have any specific questions about any of these.
No, do these have the UV lights on them?
All of these have UV lights. All the direct discharge systems have UV lights.
And
And same on the other side. They've all got UVs. I wanted to share with you another situation that we've got. But I'm not sure exactly how to finesse this one out. We've got Left Fork watershed butts up against where Hobet 21 is. So we're right on the border. We have a homeowner that feels that she's had some cracks in her house, and the system that went in there in 2011 currently has some leaks in the house. We're not sure exactly what's causing it. I wrote a letter back in April to Kent Desrocha at Hobet. Haven't gotten any response yet. They may just feel like, oh, we don't want to open this can of worms, but I wasn't sure. I don't know what to do next. Whether, the project itself, we're only funded to put these systems in. Ryan and I can go and crawl around and poke and stuff. We do that anyhow, but I don't know whether, whether we should try to fix any of this stuff, whether we should try to do any piping, whether this is
I think the first thing I do is wait, maybe give this fellow
a little bit more time. Okay.
Yeah, and see what he says. Okay, then we can make a decision based on that. Because, if it's a result of that, then they would be, but if it's not,
I don't know how you
it's
tell.
not, I think probably what I would suggest after if we get a letter back and he says, well, it's probably not us, then you make sure it's not us. You know what I'm saying? Make sure there's no faulty as far as, which I'm sure there is, but
Well, we hope not.
The thing you think, as far as I'm concerned, the thing I don't see how, we can only guarantee what we put in. And, if there's some outside force, that takes that away, because, maybe a flood in Cleveland or something goes in,
There's all,
are you responsible then? So I think,
right.
how long has this system been in?
This has been in since 2011, and it's only currently that this problem is developing, or that the homeowners
You don't
notice
think that's
this problem.
reasonable like this?
Probably
Wait
tell you
till-
what, Scott put it,
Well,
probably speculate on that.
I think we could speculate there. Although Hobet has been, originally they pledged and gave phase one $100,000. So they were,
Well,
they were
and-
very helpful. with the
Maybe
project.
all they need is someone to look at it, and they can
Well,
tell.
that was the hope, that we would get somebody out there, maybe somebody from Hobet and two of us could, we could also poke around under there and make
Give it a little bit more time.
Okay.
Yeah, we can revisit this, maybe just give us an update a month from now, because I figure by then you probably will have heard something back, even if you're not through the process of determining what's going on, at least you will know that.
All right, thank you. Good. And after Ryan talks about phase 5, I'll talk a little bit about Camp Lakeview and some other kinds of stuff.
I did-
Maybe I can answer some questions.
It seems to me like, you guys have done a good job. It's been an ongoing success story, but still, I guess, the homeowner, even though Hobet caused the problem, I think the homeowner has responsibility too. If you got a sewer leak under your house, you should fix it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I think that's one of the reasons you always ask yourself, why hasn't it been fixed, and then there may be some liability issues there. That's why I think that whole bit aggressive, we didn't be aggressive.
I did look at it.
We'll let you know what happens.
Thank you, sir.
Sure, you're welcome. You're up.
Good evening, Commissioners. I wanted to give you a quick verbal update about Phase 5 and like employee applications. They've been coming in. I've gotten 3 total that actually have some kind of qualified backgrounds that would be suitable for an on-site inspector for Phase 5. Actually, I've sent out probably close to 8 total applications and only received 3, so we'll just see. The deadline for that will be this coming Monday, so I'm going to stop taking applications, assess who I think would be best, and then I'm also going to plan to start trying to take them out on some site visits, get them a little accustomed to what it's going to be like driving out to the watershed on a frequent basis, as well as some of the responsibilities that we plan for them to do, such as sampling, getting in and out of the systems, opening a few peat modules, kind of getting them accustomed and understanding what they're getting themselves into. So that's my plan, and my plan is also to have a recommendation for someone for the commission to approve the next commission meeting, because I know that after that we don't have a meeting. So my plan is the next one. I'm going to have somebody ready that I think will be a perfect fit for the position. The second thing I'd like to talk about is I just got the planning document approved today, so that's the first half of this process. Now we're going to work on the specifications. So the planning document is finally approved, and the worry is that we want to make sure that there will be funding for Phase 5. So part of that is the DEP asked me to write this letter called a binding commitment letter, which allows the project to guarantee that there will be funds for the project for Phase 5. And that's what I was advised to do by the person we work with at the DEP through the project. So I basically wrote this letter, and I need the motion to be made that Charles Vance, the president, can sign this, and then I'm just basically going to send it to the DEP tomorrow so that we can make sure that there is Phase 5 funding. And then you guys can read it here.
Is there a motion?
I'll move it. Authorized.
Second,
Okay.
so-
Just wanted to make sure
Oh,
you guys.
yes. Yes.
Oh, yes, and can you sign that for me? I'll take a copy of it.
Just right here.
Yeah, that's fine. I just want everybody to have a copy so you knew what you were looking at and sign. Thank you. That's it, that's all I have. Thank you, Commissioners.
Just an update on the team parenting thing. That, I think the last time I talked to you, we were in the process of getting that in. There was a special meeting where the commission agreed to help with a little bit of funding for that. That's going in. We ought to hear sometime next month on that, so I'll just keep you updated on that. But appreciate your help with that. The other thing I wanted to give you an update on was the camp. One of the things that we have done, we started it last year, was free Wednesdays at the camp for anybody. We did it alternating Wednesdays last year. This year we'd like to do the free Wednesdays every Wednesday during the summer. We start June 5th and go through August 7th. And Commissioner Matthews is helping with the feeding, so we're going to be able to feed the multitudes there, which is great. We've got church groups involved with that. There's still a few challenges in terms of making sure that we have enough lifeguards there at the site, so we're working on that. And Tri-River, do they meet today, Charles, or is it tomorrow?
They met yesterday.
They met
They
yesterday.
approved that.
They approved that, okay. And did they come up with an amount, or they just approved it? for-
They just approved it on the one day, and I mentioned to them, you talked, could even extend, but they just basically said, the period you could last.
Okay, great. So, we're moving forward with that. I think it'll be a good thing for the county. There's no cost to anybody. We'll have some signage up and some stuff in the newspaper, but I think it's a go.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.